Asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityormamritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, and death to immortality. Peace, peace, peace. We find in the Lord's Prayer, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. And that's the reason why I decided on the topic, deliverance from evil. And the whole day I felt like a fool because I had chosen this topic. I've been breaking my head over it. It's so vast, so complex. You don't know where to start and where to end. So, at the same time, it's confusing, of course, what exactly is evil. Whether it has an objective reality or a subjective reality. But we do find evil subjectively as well as objectively also. So I'll try to place before you some of the thoughts that I've been mulling over in my head so that we can understand a few aspects of this huge, pervasive, interconnected entity or being called evil. Yeah, it's obvious. We try to pick up one thing and we find that evil is connected to all the evil things in the world, as well as the good things also. It seems we cannot separate both together. So all of us have experienced evil in some form. And when we do face evil, we are so overwhelmed. Questions pop up. We become more or less powerless in the face of evil. And we are told to let go, let God have His will. But Swami Vivekananda says, resist all evils, physical and mental. And when you have resisted, then will calmness come. So we need to resist evil. That is one thing. We may not contain it fully, but we can, to a certain extent, contain it in our own sphere. Evil has become a threat to human sanity and world peace. And of course, society is riven with evil. We see any city, such a beautiful city, but we don't see the underbelly. Every city has that dark underbelly. And we tend to ignore it, just dismiss it. That is, we are oriented probably to dismiss or forget evil. Yes, it becomes a little disconcerting. And there are hundreds of evil. Why does a child who does not know anything has to suffer cancer, painfully die. The parents want to know why. And sometimes the answers are worse than that pain. Yeah, it's a kind of a slap on the face. Because the answers are so weak and evil and suffering is so strong. Pain, suffering, and the loss of job or reputation, wealth, all these things are kind of evil. And many times we think that evil should be grotesque, a kind of a hideous looking thing. No. Evil comes to us with a beautiful face, beautiful countenance. Oh, yeah. And we get deceived by that. It is deceptive. Evil is extremely deceptive. And that's the reason why we can't pin it down to this is a factor of evil. No. It seems everything is so interconnected and appears so dark. People have been grappling with this. Why? So they say, okay, fine, you just keep quiet and the evildoers will get their just rewards and they will go to a place called hell. And those who have patiently endured evil, they will go to a place called heaven. That was the solution. That the solution does not reduce, if it is real, solution does not reduce the experience of evil. You know, sometimes evil is the cause of atheism. Yeah. Vidyasagar was a great, you can say, a great man and educationist. So Sri Ramakrishna had gone to see him and interact with him. He was an atheist. In a way, he maintained all his social, religious observances, but he never had any kind of it. His argument was, when Genghis Khan's armies had captured huge numbers of prisoners, people, and his generals came and said, how do we feed them? You don't need to feed them. Finish them off. And millions were massacred. So his contention was, what was God doing? Obviously, what was God doing? It could be our question also. What was God doing? When millions of these people are just, innocent people are just massacred for no reason at all, then we have evil in this world in which religions themselves are responsible. We have religious wars and religious doctrines and religious ideologies that fuel evil all over the world. Here we have that. Religion, instead of eradicating evil, sometimes puts oil in that fire there. Even if you remove God from the equations, evil, what is God doing here? Why is this evil? Even if you remove God and remove heaven and hell and all that, evil will be evil. It's not going to change. People had faith in God and belief in God so that they could, these beliefs of faith could act like a buffer. It doesn't. Yes, people with a religious bent of mind can endure much, much more than people without any religious beliefs of faith. That is true. You know, in this is the Kali Yuga. And evil has become dominant in this age. It's the Iron Age, as they say. The previous ages, evil wasn't so intense like in the Golden Age or the Age of Truth. Evil was much less. People were all generally good. And then we had the next age called the Treta and then the Dwapara. And in this age, Kali, everything has. And we say, okay, fine, this age will now turn and then go back to that golden age. There's a story in the scriptures where Parikshit was the grandson of Arjuna, and he had just ascended the throne in India. And with his ascension, the age of Kali had begun. So one day, he was out on a hunting expedition. He saw ugly-looking man with a sword attacking a cow. And the cow was trying to flee, and then that man cut one of his legs, and second leg, and third leg, and he was about to. So Parikshit saw, in my kingdom, how can this be? And he accosted this person, and what happened is this person is an ugly looking person. He surrenders himself at the feet of the emperor, holds his feet and say, forgive me, save me. And there is a rule, whatever you do, if you ask for forgiveness, you've got to forgive that guy, whatever. And the king was magnanimous. He's saying, who are you? What are you doing here? He's saying, I am Kali. Then Parikshit, oh, you are that Kali. And who's that cow? The cow said, I am Dharma, I am religion. And 3 of my legs have been cut. I can stand only on one leg, and that is truth. All my other legs have been cut. Austerities, you can say, gifts and all these other things which are parts of dharma, they have all been cut. In this age, there is only, religion stands only on truth. So he pacified the cow, Dharma. And she was weeping. Then he turns to Kali. Now what do I do with you? Since you have sought refuge in me, I can't let you stay in my kingdom. I have got to banish you. So Kali says, where do you banish me? All this is your kingdom. So he was thinking where to banish this guy. Obviously, I cannot keep him in this kind of sane society. So Kali says, let me decide. He said, I'll go where there's gambling, there's liquor, there's prostitution, there's drug abuse, all, the underbelly, like I said. So Parikshit was relieved. Oh, he solved my problem. Get going. Because he knew that these are aspects of society, but they are very small aspects. They can be contained with enough police and all that. And Kali went to all these places, and those places started increasing and increasing, an overwhelming society. This is what it is. Parikshit has gone, Kali has begun, and this is evil is more intense in such places where there's lies and deception and corruption No, it is big business, evil. Amazing. So, Sri Ramakrishna says the body itself is a source of all trouble. Yes, the body is a kind of evil. And then when we have to pay taxes in the form of diseases and illnesses and stress and anxiety, these are inevitable when one inhabits the body. Like we need to pay our taxes when we occupy a space. You say, no, we are a non-profit. Oh, really? No, you can't. So, you pay your taxes. Why should that be considered as evil? No. But then, we are here for a free lunch and we've got to pay for that. I don't want to. I'll take my lunch and I'll run away. You can't. So, evil has got the objective aspect, the subjective aspect, and the metaphysical aspect or the philosophical aspect. The doctrines of evil or the devil, he is the tempter. And all this problem is because of that devil. So these are few of the solutions that people over the ages have tried to present to us. But humanity has been grappling with this even before religions ever rose. And as long as we were here, we were wrestling with this thing called evil. So it's an old problem. We haven't gotten used to it. Nobody gets used to it. So the first, you can say, category, the evil, the metaphysical aspect or the philosophical aspect is, theologians, saints and divines and all these, they have tried to console us in a way that under the merciful God, there is something called evil, but we need to pray and fast and worship God so that we can escape. But it is always found those people who pray and worship and fast, they suffer more. That has been no problem at all. And over the years, we have found various answers presented to us, try to allay our fears about the omnipotence and benevolence and loving nature of God, and how under God can these hideous things take place. These two are simply contradictory. How can providence allow this? So, I'm saying palliative, they say. Like this solution was, yes, it's a work of the devil, it's Satan. And this can be taken care of, on a permanent basis after you pass away. So wait for a while. Don't be in a hurry. You'll get a couple of wings later on probably, and then you'll fly about. I have suffered enough of evil, now I'm free from evil. And then you look down and say, these are the guys, evil guys. And we have something called theodicy. And they try to reconcile both these, you can say, aspects of, you can say, benevolent God, this providence, and the existence of evil. One solution they give is, humans have something called a free will. And we exercise that free will. And obviously some of our choices are wrong. And we get into trouble. So it removes all the blame from the Creator down to you. There. He's saying, don't blame God. You are responsible for this. Saint Augustine says it's a perversion of the good. Actually, God had created an excellent world. Everything was perfect. We have narrowed ourselves, or we have narrowed our vision. We have perverted, as I said, good. The concept of the original sin also in Christianity is there. And of course, Christ came and He saved us from that original sin. So we were born with that sin. We are all over the centuries, we have been. The child who is innocent is born with a load of sin. What? Someone else's sin. Someone called Adam. And that's been coming down to us. So here also, God is not to be blamed. We become kind of perverted. Iranian theodicy says, you see, a human journey is a kind of a complex journey. And it is a soul-saving element in us. We go through evil, suffering and pain so that our soul gets fitted for immortality. That's a nice one. Huh. So it's better than anything. And there have been n number of, you can say, solutions to this. The theologians, as you know, they speak from the standpoint of theology. Philosophers have come and they are trying to wrestle with these ideas. And they have tried to confront this face of evil. And it has come to such a pass that they cannot now confront evil. They have no solutions. But Friedrich Hegel says, evil is a necessary step in the history of humankind. Nietzsche says, this is a little more a kind of an enlightened view. We have brought the problem of evil on ourselves, he says, by inventing moral categories that don't reflect the natural world. And also, we did not understand the mind. So Nietzsche is in a way okay to be quoted or something like that. We are still struggling to understand this universe. We are still struggling to understand the mind. And we have somehow crystallized some categories and said, this is what it is outside, this is what is inside. And evil cannot fit in those categories. And good as well as good cannot fit in those categories. And there is a contradiction. And when there's a contradiction, you have these dilemmas, this problem of good and evil. So I like this Nietzsche's quote, that by inventing moral categories that don't reflect the natural world, and the whole history of science is nothing but trying to understand the natural world, this world outside. And they cannot say that we have understood it. Nobody can say that we've understood. And no one can say that we have understood the mind. There are so many sub-personalities in us. We know exactly what hurts us. And given a chance, we will hurt others in that same way. Oh yes, we know exactly. So these are these dark sides in our personalities. So this is the more or less subjective side. We'll deal with it a little later from what Swami Vivekananda says. The second objective side of evil, tsunamis, earthquakes, volcanoes, famines and floods and this and that. And these are natural laws Why do we say that they are evil? And we have now understood a little of this forces. If we don't have earthquakes and volcanoes, that means the earth cannot be inhabited. It's a dead world. These things are indicative of this world is alive. Yeah. This has always been there. So, yes, wherever there are famines and floods, but good governance can eliminate a lot of this evil. We had in Calcutta, we had in West Bengal, about 3 million people died of starvation in 1941-42. Why? Just simply starved themselves in the sense that there was no food. Why? Because Winston Churchill decided to take all this food and send it to the European theater where the war going on. The Tommies need more than these guys. And relief material which was sent was stopped in the port saying, no, you can't unload this grain and etc. And all the grain which has gone to Europe, more than half of it rotted. It was useless. There was a kind of a surplus there. So, what do these people say? Yeah, evil. Who? God? Yeah, but it seems like it was a kind of a decision made by one person. Today, one person cannot decide on certain things. The whole government has to decide. Of course, I know what you imply with that. Knowing laugh. But it is true that society is much more enlightened today. Wherever there's a disaster, almost all the countries pitch in to help. Even countries which are not, you don't even know them, where they are on the map. People send relief materials, aid, this, that, everything. It's kind of a global consciousness that we are going to, which is an excellent thing. So natural disasters, etc., can be understood as this is part of nature. You don't have to consider that as evil. Otherwise, if you won't have a place to stand, nature, cradles us. And as a mother, sometimes she loves the child, and sometimes through love also she sometimes spanks the child. So that also, spanking also is a necessary part of upbringing. So nature shows now and then who's the boss. Okay. But we can, there's a kind of a global awareness about climate change. Yeah, it's disastrous. I mean, what do we leave for our next generation or after that? But we have more or less shut eyes to that. Oh, let them be. They'll be happy. But no, there are plenty of people who are working to reduce this methane and carbon and this and that and alternate sources of energy. We are in a way trying to contain evil on the outside. Early warning systems will tell us about tsunamis and volcanoes and earthquakes. That can save a lot of lives. So we are in a way trying to help ourselves and so that we don't suffer unnecessarily. Another, those who swear by evolution, swear it in all aspects. We also swear by evolution. They say, And Swami Vivekananda says, you see, we have been evolving for millions and millions of years, and we have dropped some traits which are harmful. And genes have mutated, and then it has got better and better and better. And as we keep on progressing, those bad traits will fall off, and we will create something like a kind of a Superman or superhuman, free from all negative traits. Evolution is doing that, and we can hasten that process through genetic, you can say, tweaking of this harmful and useful material. So, but for millions of years, they say that evolution will take care of all the evil which is there by extirpating it, by discarding it, destroying it, and what will remain is the good. But as if that was true, we find that both the good as well as the bad are both progressing equally. And it takes for granted that evil is a diminishing quantity and good is an increasing quantity. It cannot be. To increase one, we'll have to increase the other. So, on the subjective side, there are these sociopaths and psychopaths, crazy people. They are intelligent, they have no remorse, they are egotistical, they are intelligent, they are calculating, they can do things that can shake any kind of sane person. They don't feel any pain. Their hearts are so kind of, cold. They don't feel a person weeping or crying or struggling. Nothing. It's kind of an evil intent. These are personality disorders. And you find sociopaths and psychopaths everywhere. In all fields. Either they are hidden or they don't. Those whom we know, we see the mayhem that they create. Individual lives, family lives, social lives are completely destroyed by these kind of people. What makes them do evil? For evildoers, there's no such thing as evil. Who says there's evil? Like I said, it's big business. It's big business, corporate. It's entertainment. It's pleasure. To see someone weep and cry, they get a kick out of it. Wow, there's a kind of huge dopamine kick. Wow, hey. And keep on twisting that knife and say, don't put in. And that person gets pleasure out of this. So subjectively, we can see these things, but when a group of people, they kind of get into a totalitarian mindset through dictatorship and all these things. They make everybody march, make everybody think alike, make everybody by hating a particular section of society, a group of people. And the focus of all the people becomes, can say, concentrated on one particular thing. And society now thinks as a kind of a unit. These goose-stepping, you can say, soldiers everywhere, they work as a unit. They are not individual anymore. And such a big fanfare and big music and everything is shining, brass and everything is spick and span and they are kind of marching. That thing should stop. Wars are a huge evil. People tend to think, and when groups of people tend to think together, what we have is ethnic cleaning, racial cleansing, and genocides, all these things. A nice person becomes a howling fanatic and just wants to kill without any kind of remorse. Something has kind of gripped a whole society and let them loose. And they feel, I'm doing my duty. Really? You're a slave to a collective, you can say, ideology or a doctrine that has been drummed into you. That is the other side of the subjective evil. So, I think we've had enough of this evil business. So here we say, why is the disharmony? Why is the evil? Why is under this? If there's a God, what makes the God feel that he should not intervene in these things? Is it God's will that there is evil? If it is God's will, then God's will is evil, or God is evil. If he can will evil, then the will is evil and God is evil. But we know from the scriptures that God is not like that. In fact, evil is the twin shadow of everything in this universe. Then in that case, you'll have to say, the mind itself is prone to evil and the universe is evil, everything is evil. That can't be. So we'll have to kind of find a solution to this, which isn't coming. What the philosophies say is that the same nerves that carry the sensation of pleasure also carry the sensation of pain. So, one thing which is appearing is good, given time and space and circumstances, it becomes positively evil. So the same thing is appearing as good in one time and bad in another time. Same sensations are carrying both pleasure and pain. And if the nerves are cut, if you don't feel any evil, no, you don't feel anything good also in that. So this bifurcation, this duality that we have created mentally, that this is good and this is bad, that is, according to what Nietzsche is, we have created our own evil, subjective and social evil. We need to see both these things in a kind of a unitary way. And once we can see it, then we can see God in both the good as well as God's face in even beyond evil. It is, of course, terrible to see God in the evil. So Swami Vivekananda is saying, mother is in the pain and mother is in the disease. And mother is also in joy and everything. Those who hug the form of death, to him the mother comes. So Swami Vivekananda saw the cosmic form of Kali when he was in Kashmir, saying, dancing mad with joy, come mother, come. Reality is one. You cannot have two things, good and bad. And heaven and hell are no solutions to this. Vedanta says, as you keep on clearing your vision, as you keep on expanding your vision of this universe, of your own self, you will find that it is rooted in divinity. Behind the mind there's divinity, behind the universe there's divinity. Why can't we see that divinity? And one of the doctrines they say to solve this problem of evil is Maya. Sri Ramakrishna had a vision of, he used to sometimes pray, show me Maya, which We are seeing Maya. He was free from Maya, so he used to pray. Come Maya, and his disciples used to go, what? If it wasn't for Maya, he couldn't have retained his body. So one day he was sitting on the banks of the river, on the grove of 5 trees, Panchavati. He's seen a very beautiful looking woman, a goddess, emerging out from the river. And she was so beautiful. He kept on staring at her. And she came, climbed the banks of the river, came near where he was sitting, near the grove. And he saw that she was pregnant. And in front of him, she gave birth to a beautiful baby. And with great tenderness, she suckled the baby and fondled it. And in an instant, she transformed herself into the terrible, the gruesome. He takes the child, masticates it, swallows it, and as the child is going inside, it's going into void. Then she gets up, she goes back in the river. He's seen the Mahamaya, that goddess who is both good as well as bad. Creation, preservation, destruction is continuously going on. Nobody can stop these processes. Yeah, it becomes a little difficult. How can it be? But let's face it, it has to be faced. That whatever you say, God is so kind. And these poets and these people who sing songs and they speak about the beauty and the love and all this nice thing in this universe, they should see the other side also. And as we mature, our reactions to both good and evil are contained. To the primitive person, that person, he had, or he and or she, they never had conceptions of good and evil like we do. Swami Vivekananda says something in, then they said yeah, and something they said nay. They were creatures of impulse. What they saw, they brought it out to the muscles. And their gods were like that. Indra comes and sometimes he drinks so much and he talks gibberish, falls down and talks. For them it was okay. This is a god, our god. Some gods like the human sacrifice, some like the smell of burning flesh and all these things. For them these people were like that. As we kept on developing what we call the ethical sense, as we kept on evolving, we started inquiring into the motives of the God. What is this? We don't want such gods. Well, we don't want such king of the gods, Indra, doing all such stupid things. So a kind of a survey was done and all the bad qualities were removed off, and then we had the god of gods and Indra. Indra was in a kind of a different outfit now. But the same thing happened. We are evolving ideas of good and bad, good and evil. Maybe the future humanity will laugh at our conceptions of God. Hey, juvenile, immature. See how they should think of God? Huh? They will have much more refined ideas of God and the universe and good and evil. So evil will not be like what we experience now, according to. Then India brought in the doctrine of karma. In fact, there's a book that gives more than 20 causes of why there is evil. And the author keeps on studying each, as I say, solution, and finds every solution as inadequate. The author says there is something called the doctrine of karma, which is a kind of a working hypothesis. For the author, working hypothesis. For us, it's a reality. We know exactly why the blow has come on me. I know exactly. I have set in motion certain things which have come and have hit me. I may have forgotten. I did nothing wrong. You did nothing wrong. Oh yes. You did plenty of things. You've done something good and something bad. But Mother here says that you can avoid evil by taking refuge in God. All the effects of karma are nullified. One of the qualities of an incarnation is, the incarnation is called the Kapala Mochana. That is the wiper out of your past karma. Wiper out of your faith. Cleans. In India we have this. You see a person's forehead and you can tell what his destiny, his or her destiny is. What, like you have people reading the palms, and there are people reading the soles of our feet also. There are people reading every, you can say, part of the body. In the sense, there's an old book called the Samudrika Vidya. Most of this is lost, most of it has been corrupted over the years. But each and every, you can say, limb or formation of the limb or any mark and everything is an indication of something that you've done. So you can check up your own. So then incarnation comes and wipes all this, those who take refuge. But Sri Ramakrishna says, there was a person, a blind man, who was blessed by the Divine Mother. And though he was blessed, all his future births were eradicated, but he continued to be blind. The Divine Mother couldn't give him the eyesight. So you have to bear certain karma, certain things we have set in motion, and they are coming down to us. So the doctrine of karma is the closest we can get in trying to explain evil. Now, karma is both individual as well as collective. Oh yes, because I need to work, and when I work with other people, other things. There's a kind of a bouncing back of my actions and reactions. So other people are also tied in that net of karma. So it is collective when, you see certain things happening collectively. Yeah, there's certain things have been tied together. And individually we know that, yes, we've done something. There is, Swami Vivekananda said, there is no blow undeserved. That should wake us up. Take responsibility for your actions. Do better. And how do you better? The greatest good for the greater many. Become unselfish. That's the best way to perform good karma. Another karma is prayers and rituals and austerities and, oh, please save me. You are the Kapala Mochana. You are the wiper of the fact. Swami Vivekananda once say, I am the wiper of wipe out of the fact. I wipe out destiny, I raise my hand, and lo, destiny disappears. That is a kind of a soul power that has manifested. The tremendous sense of, you can say, strength that comes. We need to shift our center of gravity from the body and evil and suffering and all these things back to the soul. As you manifest the soul power, destiny has no, karma has no power over you. The world can have no binding effects of evil on you. And that is that divinity that we spoke about in the beginning. This is what is called moksha. Vedanta says we cannot solve this naughty problem of evil. We can help you get out of this. Get out of that. How do we get out? Through knowledge. First is, there is a God. Don't try to defend your God as if he needs your defense. My God is so nice. Actually, it is your fault. It's not God's fault. Why are you trying to defend God? These are all silly things. Then, you want to protect your religion or you protect your doctrine or you keep on fighting. You don't have to do that. Get out of this. And then you will find that what you saw as conjoined, everything, every thought is conjoined with evil, every object is conjoined with evil, because it's in the nature of the thing to have transformations. One time it's good, one time it's bad, and then it can swing over and over again. You don't need to defend anybody. You don't need to defend evil. You don't need to defend good. Understand your own divinity and be free. Then you will see this world is exactly what the authors of the scriptures say. It's beautiful. So beautiful, blissful, full of love. And all that pain and anguish and suffering and intolerance have all kind of a mirage. It's all gone. What abides is love. What abides is truth. We have been like children, being afraid of the dark and shouting. We've heard of ghosts and goblins and all these things. And we are frightened of our own shadows. Have you been frightened of your own shadow? Yes. Oh, wow. Yes, our shadows are that good and bad, good and evil. We have given life to those shadows, and Swami Vivekananda says, either we enjoy or we are frightened like fools. So, as you see, I started with this idea that I was feeling so foolish taking this topic up, which has confounded philosophers and saints. Even saints cannot explain why do I see this, and why? How do you explain some person's evil, which that innocent child has done nothing wrong? Why does it has to suffer so much pain and anguish? What will the saint tell the parents? How will it console the child? It is all good. No. Don't ever say that. Don't ever say this universe is all good. No. Don't ever say the universe is all evil. No. This universe is that truth, is that being, is that divinity. And the final words of Vedanta is, thou art that. That's a liberating thought and a liberating experience. One day, both good and evil, Swami Vivekananda says, keep this world alive. The world is perfectly fitted to meet its end. What's the end of the world, of this creation? To liberate souls. Nothing else. As the Sankhya philosopher says, bhoga and apavarga, to give the soul then experiences. And then when it's done, you think, get out of this place now. Apavarga. So we need to get educated, not to get overwhelmed with evil. Understand its nature, and that will liberate us. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.